So this is scenario 6. This is supposed to be San Mariglis, so it's a town fight, which has made it kind of interesting because all the buildings basically block a lot of line of sight and where you can fire, but also they channel where you're going to go. Like this machine gun is covering the street here, the street over here. The Americans start up on the top of the map. The Germans were down here. You have the paratroopers. Here you have a couple paratrooper units here, conscripts, and regular rifle. A couple heavy machine guns for the Germans. The Americans only have two medium machine guns. The interesting thing about this scenario is the Germans have basically, they set up command confusion where you're only playing one card per turn until each time the time track moves up one, you gain a card up to 3. So the Americans have way more activity to do things than the Germans in gaining cards and actions and use of them, because the Germans actually, looking at it right now, in the sense that opportunity fire, you can probably do more, spend a lot of cards, but you're only gaining using one card when you want to do something. So it's kind of really a bit weird for the Germans here. The American play, because they're attackers, well, the German setup was to kind of cover here, have the machine guns kind of cover the lines here and here. Pretty much this big building is going to be an assault, a fight, I'm suspecting. This group here is to help the building as much as possible. They set up the paratroopers to cover this side, the riflemen here, and the conscripts basically covering this objective, with the option of the rifle dropping back to cover this one and the conscripts covering this side. The Americans are basically, this group will come down and take this and then move on to here. This group will support here and move down the center, supporting these two squads coming down. The center squads take center building and move here. This group is covering the center squads, and then depending on who's helping, the ones taking the building are going to try to take this thing. And this is the flanking maneuver, because these guys are kind of come around and come through here and hit the building back here and try to take this objective, because this heavy machine gun is basically blocked, and this unit has to move over to cover these guys, or they'll have to drop back depending on how things go. So that's the plan. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. Because like the last scenario, both sides cards play was just burning through the decks trying to get things to do things. If the Germans have that problem and they're only doing one card per turn, it's going to be pretty slow for them. So it's going to be an interesting play for this. So after a few hands, a couple of things. The time clock has moved forward, so the Germans now can use 3 cards per turn. They've lost 2 units and an officer. When the Americans took this building, he's in trouble here. These units have moved down. They forced this unit back. This unit is covering the center line here. He's kind of pinned on that side. Germans moved over here because the Americans have actually moved down. Early hands were problematic for the Germans because they couldn't really do much, and the Americans were able to technically infiltrate and shoot up the units in this building here before they can do anything. The unit here was a good placement because they're able to fire down here on the building, but now they got to start shooting over on this building to protect the unit, so that helps. And this guy too can help out. Might actually move him over because we got these guys here. Yeah, so not looking good for the Germans right now, but at least they can play more cards. Cards have been good for the American players so far. So on to the next few hands. So after quite a few hands, we have the time track now is past sudden death. We had loads of hands of nothing happening, and just the way the cards popping up. Both sides are trying to do, but the Germans are quite lost quite a bit. The Americans just lost 1 unit. Someone was trying to get to this building and fired. Actually, it was kind of annoying that the Americans couldn't move and the Germans couldn't shoot if they did, so the players didn't know that, but when the Americans actually get to move, the Germans actually had cards to fire at them. This unit actually recovered, got veteran status, it's trying to cover here. These units broke, ran away. The heavy machine gun unfortunately broke and was removed. Didn't make the roll. The unit here, squad was killed, but the officer survived. So, trying to figure out whether, I guess you keep a hold of that and die, but also the game is getting towards the end, either by the time track or if the Germans lose 2 more units, they're done. And this could possibly be these 2 units here, because this force finally was able to move as they came through this side and actually were stuck here for many turns because not drawing any move cards. So it just kind of a bunch of hands, everybody, both players were just sitting doing nothing. And mostly just taking pot shots at each other, trying to break units. And trying to, well, the problem was fire and movement cards weren't matching up to allow some movement and some fire. And I haven't been really watching for smoke to dump, but that hasn't happened. We have a blaze marker here just appeared. And these mines just randomly came right here. Interestingly enough. And so on to the final probably hands. So this is the final status of the game. The American player reshuffled deck, pulled the sudden death, and the game ended. Germans held that objective, which was 2. This was nothing. Americans had their objectives. Each objective holds was 2 points. So they did okay on that. But the German player already had up to 11 victory points, but with all the casualties, which were double for this scenario, the Americans only lost 1 unit, so they really crushed the Germans on that point. So American victory on this one. A bit quicker towards the end with a lot of shuffling the decks, particularly for the Germans. They kept pulling their time card quite a bit. So slow at some points, a bit quicker on other draw hands on this one. So on to the next.